here's Brody Brazil.
If I only got to use one word to describe the show Severance on Apple TV, now complete through 2 seasons, just one word to describe Severance, it would be fascinating. I mean, there are so many different elements and angles and characters and plots and storylines and the music, the score of this series, the cinematography of this series, so many things that just fascinate me. I'll be honest, at first when I dove into the series, I couldn't see it all. But now that we're getting here through 2 seasons, I can finally see what makes it interesting. And by the way, I should have said this from the very beginning, from the very first few words, no spoilers here in this YouTube video. So if you're not complete with Severance, if you're not totally caught up, I'm not going to be giving anything away here during the span of this video. So you're safe with me. We're not going to reveal anything that you didn't know about. I'm not going to ruin the rest of your watching of Severance. But I did want to do this breakdown. Again, there are so many fascinating elements that after watching this show, I had to come on here and make a YouTube video. I had some points to make. I had some things to talk about. I think there's 5 total slides here. I'll begin first with this. It actually took me a while to warm up to even watching these shows and this series. I think one of the first things I had to come to grips with is that I had to realize I wasn't going to understand it all. Like, what is Lumen? Who is the board of Lumen? What is the point of all of this? What's really going on behind the scenes? Like, at first you think, all right, in a couple shows, I'll know what that is. Well, here we are now after 2 seasons, and I still don't know what a lot of things are. You kind of have to understand that you're not going to understand everything about this show. It is a bit of a mystery, isn't it? I could have quit watching this series, I'll be honest, after about 2 episodes. It just wasn't moving fast enough at first, and maybe it was a little bit too off the wall, and it was too sterile, and I didn't know the characters yet, but I would, and I did end up liking them. I do like them, but at first, like, you don't have that connection. That's the case, I know, with a lot of shows, but especially here with Severance, I do feel like it's kind of a dangerous territory that somebody might start watching. They've heard about this show. They want to see what it's all about. They're excited. They're like, hey, splash me. Let's see what happens here at first. And there is not that splash. And so I'm glad I stuck with it, but I can see how a lot of people may not do that. In terms of season 1 versus season 2, and again, no spoilers here, season 1, it felt like it had guardrails. Crazy show, right? Twists and turns and ups and downs and all that stuff, but there were guardrails. It's not going to go too off the wall. It's not going to get too crazy. But season 2, the guardrails went away. Total next level, totally unpredictable, totally crossing lines of expectations or possibilities. Again, not giving anything away, but pretty crazy the difference even between season 1, which was more formulaic and laid out, versus season 2, which is like, whoa, where are we going with this thing here right now? All of this is an easy concept. Like, I can explain Severance in 20 seconds. It's the thought that your brain gets separated so that when you go to work, you don't know anything about your home life, and when you're at home, you don't know anything about your work life. There's innies at work, there's outies in the real life. Like, does that make sense if you don't know what I'm talking about? And so that's the whole premise of Severance. Like, I could explain it so simply right there, but all the details are explored. All the depths of this are explored. And that's what makes the show so fascinating. To take something so simple, like how could they do an entire show on this? What would it be like? Well, how would you explore this? But that's kind of the cool part. Something so simple fans out into something so complex. Okay, the idea of Lumen, the workplace here, and its office spaces. What in the heck even happens there? Like the building and macro data refinement and all the different sections of Lumen and the different areas and the hallways and everything is so white and pristine. And what? What is going on here? That big office space with a huge room with only 4 desks that are all so tight and facing each other. The computers, the furniture, the electronics, the decor, everything feels like it's from the late 70s, early 80s. The technology, it's amazing because they play it off like the fashions and maybe the conversations and the technology. They play it off like it's a 2025 show or a 2024 show. But all the computers and electronics, like I said, and furniture, how about all the cars they drive in this show? Look at the Lumen parking lot. They're all cars of that same vintage, maybe 70s, 80s, somewhere right around there. So it is kind of it's a stylistic thing that somehow pulls you into this show. If they just did normal computers, it wouldn't be the same show, now would it? Think about that for a second. The style of The Office might be what attracts you to this show. It gets me thinking about watching the actual Office show, which was more in its time of the 2000s. It looked like an Office from the 2000s. This looks like an Office from the 70s, but it's here in the 20s, maybe? Everything, by the way, is Lumen branded, which also kind of messes with your head at some point. Like, should I be drinking this Lumen water while eating a Lumen snack while using Lumen toilet paper in the bathroom? And everything has a Lumen logo on it. And they also have the lamest of office parties and the watermelon and the dance parties and the rewards for productivity. Again, I feel like all of that is intentional, and having a nameless, faceless board, like the executives of Lumen, you can never see them, but they send you messages. And they also do these like fake rewards, like, great, we're just kind of checking our box. Some people relate it to their real life. Like, a lot of this is the narrative for most humans, I think, and their job and their relationship with their employer. I think that's what Ben Stiller and company were trying to do here. I do admire a lot of the effort in the camera and color work of this show. Like I said, the cinematography is amazing, and the coloring of this show, like the color grading of this show, tremendous. The Severance effect when you go up the elevator, right? And I'm not giving anything away here, but when you go from being an outie to an innie, or an innie to an outie in the elevator, they do the Severance effect, which is what everybody's talking about. People in production have known about this for years. It's called a dolly zoom. It was actually made popular by Alfred Hitchcock in the 1950s. It's when you push the camera in and zoom back at the same time. So push the camera in, zoom out, or push the camera back, you dolly out and zoom in. You dolly in and out, you zoom in and out, but you do those two things in opposite. And that is the Severance effect. That's what makes the face look like it changes shape when the focal length and the zoom are all changing in unison. In terms of the color grading, if you watch this show and if you know what I'm talking about, it's all simple colors. It's not like my backdrop here where there's pretty much every color on the spectrum. It's like a lot of blues and greens and browns, and that's it. And I heard that was intentional because it lets your brain work less. Like, when your brain sees all these colors, it's like, whoa, got to process all that. But if you're only watching like 3 colors, it helps the brain focus more on the actual show. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I heard. I also noticed that most of the outies scenes are at night, which does make the show feel a little bit ominous, but it also makes sense, right? You're at home after work, and I guess it is dark, especially if you live somewhere up north or in the Northeast. Where does this show actually take place? I mean, I think the building is in New Jersey, or is it Pennsylvania? Bottom line is, it's always dark for the real life scenes, not the Lumen scenes. And that kind of makes it feel like, is it always winter? Or is it always dark? And why is it always creepy like that? It's definitely very intentional. The show's theme music is both good and addictive. So I didn't even do it right. But anyway, terrible rendition. I would say that the theme is like nothing elaborate. Anyway, but it's nothing elaborate, but yes, it is. Like, the composition of that theme song, if you dive deep like I recently did on some YouTube videos, it is a very complex theme song. It becomes addictive. Like, I can hear it in my head almost anytime I want. It goes so well with the main title theme, the open, like when you see Adam Scott in the beginning of the show, like it flows so well, the music and the animation that they did for both season 1 and season 2. And that music is so perfect for social media. I gotta say, like, you throw that theme music on a reel or a TikTok and everybody instantly knows like what the theme of this is going to be, right? It instantly relates. I want to say that this might be among the best theme tracks ever for a series. Another one I would say is Game of Thrones, right? Dun 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 dun. That one was better. But I feel like this might be among the best themes ever of a television series. It just might be. So my thoughts on actual Severance in real life, like, the show might get you thinking about, well, is this ever going to come true? Like, it's a common daydream among workers. Like, what if I could separate it so that I could keep my personal life and my work life separate? And those are two things I want to do well in, but separately. And I don't want them to cross paths. And when they do cross paths, it gets messy. And I think the takeaway I've got from this show is actually that it might be important to take some of your work things home and also to bring some of your life things to work. People try and avoid that. Maybe that's a theme of this show, that there is some importance there. And as much as people wonder, like, what if I just cut them off and separated them? If I severed them from each other? By the way, severance also interesting because of, like, when you get fired, you get severance sometimes, but I digress. It's important to maybe have those paths crossing, whereas a lot of times it's a common daydream. Like I said, that a lot of people wonder, what would it be like if those two things were separate people and they didn't even know each other? How much trust do you actually put in the corporation you work for? That is a huge question. And when you look at Lumen so far through a couple seasons, there's not a lot of trust. Like, you don't know. You're always left wondering, like, who is this Milchek guy? And what exactly is going on here? There are so many different aspects about Lumen. It's so mysterious. It's so guarded, but it's so interesting. And I would say the last part about this is that in my lifetime, and I was thinking about how long that might be the other day, it's not impossible that something like Severance could be real life. Could they already do this? I know this is fantasy. This is written for television, but is this impossible? I mean, I think it is possible, in at least my lifetime, that this might be some people's reality. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Like I said, I tried to do this without any spoilers. I didn't want to give anything away, but I did want to talk about this. Maybe you want to talk about it too. Put that down there in the comments. Also, thumbs up while you're down there. That'll help me, this video, and this channel. I don't do a lot of videos like this away from sports, but man, Severance is so interesting. I'm also going to do a White Lotus video in the very near future too. So hit that subscribe button down below. That way I can definitely see you back here next time.